So, again, as I told you at the beginning of last session on Thursday last week, this is pretty much like introduction course for the business and administration. So I know that some of the students here from like third or fourth year. Actually, however, the course is designed for really a freshman. So I know that students never have taken the business-related course in high school in Korean educational system. So pretty much what is business study, management study, what subject is, and what you will be learning. So all those kind of fundamental issues will be covered, explained. So that's the idea of this course. So again, this is for freshman course. So let us talk about like what is business and management studies, and then we are going to talk about like what is manager and what's the job of the managers. Like all of your business studies, business courses actually, as I mentioned, help students, people to be a very good managers, right? So managers are somebody who really run the company. Not really company, the organization, a group of a lot of number of people. So that's what I call it, organization. So if that organization pursue like profit, that's like that's profit organization. And if the organization pursue for kind of a public interest without really money making or profit maximization, that's non-profit organization. Whether organization pursue profit, non-profit, money, whatever, organizations are organizations. So it is actually a group of people. So somebody in the organization should know like how to lead the organization. So all organization has some goals, right? So the question is how to achieve their goals. For doing that, so managers are actually those who lead people to achieve the goals of the organization. But the question is how, then what kind of skills, knowledge, experience the manager should have, right? Of course, like after say 20 years of say experience in the real work, probably you will be a very good manager. However, before you actually having that lengthy years of experience, why not just having some indirect experience first about the management, managers, their skills, know how, and so on. So that's about the management studies. So, so when you study like manager, the business and management studies, just consider yourself as a manager, somebody who really running a company, organization, lead people, should do something for the benefit of, say, owners, shareholders, society, whatever. So consider yourself as really a manager, and then you just try to understand the content of every subject, and then the message from the like each individual study areas. Otherwise, probably the study in management will be so much boring. So that's what I did in my college, right? I've been taking a lot of business course, but at the end of say 4 years in college, I just couldn't find what's the point. Why should I learn this one, right? But I realized after a few experience of like in the company, then I realized that why we should know this, why we should understand that word, this word, that kind of things. So the point is just consider yourself as a manager of the organization, and then try to look at what this subject will try to tell you. So, certainly, yeah, these are, if you taking, can you see the slide clearly here? So if you are, say, advanced to the higher degrees, these are certainly the course that you will be taking very often. So many courses, but we can say that these are really the core courses in business studies. organization and management, strategic management, accounting, finance, economics, and marketing, whatever. So pretty much you have to understand what are the key ideas for this subject. So what you are going to learn by taking these courses. So you will be learning that one. But ultimately, the reason for you guys to take these courses and try to learn something from this will be actually you should have these skills, right? If you really try to be a really good manager, right? You should have, when you say a good manager, what is good manager to you? I don't have any like attendance paper, so anyone can you tell me these are really good manager that I think kind of a hero. So who are the good manager to you? Anyone? What? Don't you know any manager? Yeah.
Well, I've worked in an industry, and this industry was just completely a disaster. So I would probably say that a manager should be a person who really knows how to plan, organize, lead, and control.
Control. So can you do you have any like example of that kind of a figure who has this kind of a figure, who has the skill like this? Can you show me some example? These are, in your opinion, good manager.
Well, when you're starting a business, the first name is a startup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was not a lot of planning. Like everyone had to do everything in the beginning. So it was difficult. Like you have to be doing this, you have to do the paperwork, you have to do the research, you have to do this and this and that. So that was not very comfortable. So there was not too much organization. So if there would be more organization from the director, that would have been amazing. And that would have probably stayed longer.
So what industry actually you've been working? What industry you actually been working?
It's a virtual reality industry.
So what exactly it is?
Where?
What could you be more specific for you?
Well, it was a startup industry that I was really just in charge of the music department. But what he would be telling me is that okay, I would have to do the music for the entrance of the company's introduction. It was really fun. But then I had to do more research. Like I had to take care of the complete department, and I really had no absolute idea whatsoever on how to do those 4 points.
Okay. So anyway, you realize that these are, the textbooks are not really lying, right? So these are planning, organizing, leading, controlling are really essential skills, right? For if you try to be really, really good managers. So good if you already recognize the need of having this one. But yeah, the point is like how can you be having all these, say, skills functions? So that's the point. Again, a lot of trials and errors throughout that one. You can have your own like your know-how on planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. But again, that's important on one side. But again, studying this one maybe also helping you to have this kind of skills. So that's actually the ideas of management, whether you like it or not. So, but again, a lot of good managers, if you look at their the major in college, we see that not many really major in business studies, which means that even not studying this one, yeah, you could be a very good manager, right? So, again, anyway, from the management studies perspectives, these are fundamental as kind of a knowledge concept or framework theory for you to have this one, right? So today, let's look a little bit what these are, and just imagine how some of the fundamentals of these subjects actually help you to have planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So that's basically what I'm going to do today. What is planning anyway? What's your name?
Luis.
What?
Luis.
Luis. So quite an entrepreneur, I think. Right? So what is, in your opinion, planning?
Well, what this person, the director, would do, he would tell me. So he would have got a piece of paper and he would tell me, you have to find this research. You have to find out how are you going to divide the department into, I have no absolute idea, how many branches. And I really have no absolute idea. So that planning, it was it. He did his job, but did I know how to do it? That planning was maybe that piece of paper on what things I had to do. The things I had to do was exactly.
So yeah, so planning means kind of defining what to do, kind of like what to do. Yeah, probably we'll talk about later that yeah, that kind of planning is what I call operational planning. But when we say planning, from the bigger picture, planning means like you have to set the goals. So this is my goal. This is our organization's goal. So you have to set the goals clearly. Plus, you have to show the direction to achieve that goal. So that's pretty much what we call planning, right? This is my goal. This is the goal of the organization. And this is the way how we should achieve that goal. So deciding that part is what I call planning, right? Who is doing that job in the organization? CEO, yeah, what I call top manager, right? So that's not really the job of us here. So we are just do what they ask us to do, right? So the very top person, like CEO or sometimes owner, set that goals. I know that you guys will be CEO someday, right? Leader of a huge group. So which means that you have to have clear ideas of setting goals and show also direction, how to realize the goal. But is it easy? No. Setting goals. We know the goal. The goal of the firm organization is very clear. Maximize the profit, right? It's very, very straightforward. But that's not really the goal here. If you look at like global firms, homepage, websites, at the front of the every big global leading companies, you can clearly see the goal of the firms. No firms really say make a lot of money. That's our goal. No company really say so. So making money, making profit is of course the very fundamental goals. However, this day global firms, whether it is small, large, domestic, global, whatever, wherever you are, just maximizing profit doesn't really help you to maximizing really profit. You have a lot of other specific goals to help you to maximize the profit. Sometimes like help out, as we discussed a lot in our previous session in business and society, like helping community, for instance. That can be your goals. So you have to have your company's specific goal you have to design. So if you design like choosing wrong goals, simply you destroy your firms. You can see a lot of firms destroyed, collapsed, bankrupt because of many problems, but mostly you can see the company at the beginning set the wrong goals, right? We'll talk about that later. But the point here, the planning simply means you have to set the goals right, correctly. The Levi's, for instance. Of course, providing a good jean, pants to people, consumers, that could be their plan, the goal. However, other than that, the Levi's set a very ambitious goal, right? Like we say help out hungry people on the earth. Quite a very ambitious and very ethical, probably could be the goal for that kind of global firms. However, like helping a poor people, poor country things, very good things for Levi's. However, to do that, the company simply uses up a lot of their financial resource. Right? Goal itself was right, but may not really be right for the company itself. Right? So you should have really a goal that really fit to your firm's, say, organizational philosophy, mission statement, or whatever. Philosophy, ideology, and so on. So setting goals and also showing how to achieve it, like directions, right? We do this goal, realize this goal by expanding, say, our market. So that may be the direction of your plan. However, some other people or leader may have other ideas. That's the right goal to us. However, the way to achieve would be improving better quality, not really expanding the market, right? So achieving goal would be also difficult on one hand, but another also difficulty is how to achieve them. 1,000 ways to achieve the goals. So you should choose the most fitting way to achieve the goals. So planning is setting goals and show the direction to achieve them. Mostly accounting, finance, strategic management, and international business. Actually, these subjects are highly geared toward that kind of helping you to have a good planner for your firms. What is organizing then? What is organizing? The manager should also be good at organizing. If you look at like the success of many Korean firms, especially like 60s, 80s, and until beginning of 90s, you see a lot of Korean firms, say, growing really fast, right? Develop their revenue fast, market expansion fast. If you know the reason why, of course, at the time, Koreans work labor really diligent. They just work 24 hours. That can be the reason. But another secret of that many Korean firms' success was they were very good at organizing their own people. Right? So what is organizing? The manager should be really, yeah.
No, I was just saying that I thought that was a question.
Yeah.
I don't know much, but then the organizing is just like allocating your resources to the right department, to the right, basically using your capital and your resources efficiently.
Yeah, that would be organizing, exactly. You just got the point. But yeah, simply organizing means the manager's job to allocate people, design the organizations, like how many departments you should design and how many people you should put for that department. And also like what kind of a role responsibility you are going to allow them to have. So you have to define and give that kind of a role, accountability, responsibility for each department. So that's pretty much, as you said, the job of the manager, what they call organizing. However, would it easy really? If you say like you have say 100,000 employees, right? So and now you are about to making cars, for instance. Then how are you going to organize yourself, your firms? That is the question. Talk about like just look at like GM or Toyota, same car making companies. The way, however, for them to organizing themselves are totally different, right? If you look at the structure, say, we call the design of the firm is what I call organizational structure. If you look at like GM, their way of organizing people. If you look at the Toyota, for instance, their way of organizing people, totally different, right? Even though they are making same cars. What does that mean? What's the meaning? You have a very different concept of allocating people, way of controlling your, not really controlling, but managing your people. Right? So allocating people, defining the role, task, and also designing the hierarchy, which is also very important. Especially when you, as a, say, top management, you always feel kind of like change of your organization all the time, right? You just cannot maintain yourself in the same way all the times because the industry is keep changing. You see a lot of new the competitors, new companies, so you have to keep changing yourself. But how can you change yourself? If you're really good at that one, you will be a very successful manager. So point is, the organizing is job of the managers. So the management and organization studies could be kind of helping you to be like tell you how to organize a lot of people. Like information system, MIS, for instance. That subject also may help you to like to be a good organizer of the people. Like human resource management also help you maybe to teach you or tell you how to organize people. Right? What about leading? That's also the job of the managers. You have to, of course, the manager is kind of a leader of the organization, people. But the point is how you lead people. That's the point. When you say lead here, you're not really saying that you just order somebody to do this or to do that as a person in higher hierarchy. So when you say leading, that means you should know how to motivate your, say, subordinate, or how you wisely influence your power over your person or subordinates at lower hierarchy. So much more like how you have to know how of motivating people, so influencing people or directing them and so on. What about controlling? So which is also very important. So the manager should do the control the people. So control means simply what is control? Control means simply monitoring your employees. Not really monitoring by putting CCTV or something like that. So monitoring means you have to measure the performance of your, say, subordinate, whether they are working right, what's the problem, and you have to show how to correct them. Right? So that's pretty much controlling. So, like again, like finance may be providing some data for you to control people correctly, and operation management as well. Marketing, of course, maybe help you the ideas of how to control your, say, employees. So we just cannot say, we know that these are the skills, but we just cannot clearly say how these subjects are correctly, directly related to the manager's fundamental functions. A lot of gray area here. However, all of the subjects at the end may help you some ideas on planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So what is management? Somebody here said that the management is, as we said here, process of coordinating. Altogether, the management here means process of coordinating people, resource, and so on, right? In business study, the people here prefer to use resource rather than, say, asset or employees or money or whatever. So resource, something that you have to use for company's operations. That something can be like material, as you see here, human resource like employees, money, what you call financial resource, and information. Right? You have to have some data, right, and information about the market. So all these are the what you call resource. So the management means just manipulating all this kind of a resource for the firm's organizations. So let's briefly look at an organization. We see here management and organization. It's one of the subjects of the business studies. So you may be wondering what you exactly be learning by taking the organization studies or, say, management studies. like fundamental question in, say, organization study is, in every subject there should be like big questions, right? Every subject does have the big questions. So in organization study, the title is organization study, or sometimes organizational behavior, or understanding organization, probably title of the course in which you actually learn what is organization, what is management. So if you take, say, organization study, organization course, you are actually learning from that course is actually this one. Why firm exists, why firm should exist. So that's pretty much like, sounds like academic questions, but lots of organization study try to answer that very bad that questions. Why firm should exist? Why firm is necessary for the achieving your goals or achieving people's goals? So that is the questions. Why do you think that firm really need to be exist? Why we have to sometimes? Why people create what they call firm to do something? That's pretty much basic question to answer in organization study. Do you think that really firm necessary for doing some economic activity? Or you may think that firm is not really necessary. Right? Firm, we don't need to really create bigger and larger firm. Smaller, the better. So a lot of different ideas about the questions. But in organization studies, people say firm really should be there because there are a lot of advantage. If you need to do something, it's better for you by forming firm to do something, if that something really produce something. Because firm, before saying that, this is what I call like organization chart. We'll talk about this one later. Because first, the major advantage of the organization or the firm, what I call 회사, firm is by designing firm, you are able to have the advantage of the specialization and chain of command. Because of this specialization and chain of command, you can work on realizing goal more efficiently. So that's basically what organization studies try to say. So specialization simply means that by allocating, we know what it is, like by allocating tasks to a group of specific person, so that specific group of people can only can concentrate on that particular job. So that is the specialization. We can entertain that kind of capitalize on that specialization only by forming what I call a company. What about chain of command? As you see here, chain of command also only exists kind of what I call company. There's a link. You just cannot work individually within the organizations. Your position always linked to somebody else, right? So somebody else's position also linked to some other guy's position, and so everybody actually linked together. So that is pretty much chain of command. So the message from the top can be delivered to the to wherever people are in the organization, because everybody is linked. And that linkage is not just linkage. Depending on the location of the link or position, there is kind of a reporting, say, scheme. Simply say, by linking people, you can determine who report to whom, right? So in the organization, you always report whatever you do to somebody else. Right? Doing something without report, not really possible in the organization. So from the organization studies perspective, those two are huge advantage that only can be possible by creating firms. So if you are take advantage of these two, then you can realize your goal more efficiently, smartly. And authority, of course, by having, say, by linking a lot of people, you are able to give authority, responsibility, accountability to some position. So each different people in different position can have different authority, accountability, responsibility. So that is helpful to do something more efficiently. So that is why a firm is necessary. So, but however, the point is how you design the firm. That is the questions. At the end, we know that specialization is important, the power of specialization, the power of chain of command. But the question is, how can you fully maximizing the power of those? So at the end, it is actually the manager's job to draw the chart like this. Whatever business you are doing, you should have this kind of a map for your organizations. Probably you'll be here. So under your, say, directorship, you have to determine how many, say, group of, say, people, what you call a department you have to design. So under that, each individual department, what kind of specific functions you have to put. So all this kind of headache-like job by drawing this kind of a, what you call organization chart is actually the job of the manager. So organization studies actually help you to draw this kind of, say, way of, say, organizing and people and allocating resource. I mean, quite interesting. Again, just choose any company that you might be interested in. And again, at the front pages of the company's website, the companies show their organization's chart, which look like this. Right? So by clearly looking at that organization chart, you can roughly understand what this company is about. Sometimes you can even understand, say, what are the, say, strategic direction, goals, how they manage actually people, and so on. So even if you are not really working for that company, you can roughly understand the nature, characteristic of the firm. So looking at the organization chart of particular company or the company that you are going to analyze is very important. So just look at the organization chart carefully. It tells you really a lot rather than just showing some pictures like this. So we will talk about this one later. So these are some of the very hot issues these days. So a lot of questions, actually organization. Again, the big question in management and organization subject is why firm exists. Is it really necessary? We end up with, yes, it is necessary because it has a lot of advantage like chain of command, say like a kind of a the advantage of designing, having hierarchy and so on. But the question is this one. If firm really should be there, if firm should really be there, necessary for doing economic activity, roughly say what kind of design should be right design of the organization, company. So that is the questions. So this is kind of a big question. So for that big question, you may have a lot of specific question inside. But the question is like this: if relief should be there, should it be tall structure or should it be flat structure? So that's the point, actually. Like previously, a lot of, say, Asian companies tend to be like tall structure. And while a lot of like startup companies, which grown up like global big firm, tend to be very like a flat structure. Right? So you have to understand what tall structure, what flat structure. You have to understand what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, pros and cons of each structure. So you have to choose what structure, is it tall or flat, good for your business. So that kind of a debate is really kind of a hot one this day in organization studies. So we will talk about that one. So what is tall structure, what is flat structure, so on. So simply say, before we talk about more, these are, as you see here, these are the tall structure. Somebody called this a classic old structure, and these are flat structure. So can you differentiate with these two? Say you are working for the company like this one. What kind of things would be happening to you? If you work for the company like having this kind of structure, what would be really happening to you? So just please imagine. So which one is really fit to your talent, say, or personality, or whatever. So we have to talk about, we were going to talk about this one. So again, which one is good? Tall structure, flat structure. That's our pretty much like controversy in management study. A lot of people say still tall structures are better. No matter what, even if you are living in digital world like high tech, world of freedom, still tall structure or old structures are better for you to do something. Some other people say that just look at Apple, just look at Google, for instance, a classic example of flat structures. Why the firms so successful? Simply because the firm adopt flat structures. So all firms should be changing like flat structures. So that's the argument on the other side. But we really don't know what's the clear answer. So anyway, that's the really hot debating issue in management studies. And before we go break, just briefly talk also about like strategic management. Also, again, strategic management together with international business pretty much study about the how to set the goal and how you show the direction to realize that goal. So all of your materials, your study theory here in strategic management are about it. How you set the goal, how you show the direction, so how to implement the undertake your action to set to realize your goals. So strategic management simply say that rather than relying on your experience, gut feeling, or whatever, we can be expert in setting goal and showing the directions, right? So that's fundamentally the belief of strategic management. So by taking this one, you'll be learning how to set the goal and how to implement to realize that goal. Because, I mean, the strategic management is really, really important more and more this day because of the wrong choice of goal and wrong choice of action, a lot of just company go bankrupt. We see a lot of examples. Not because I think the top managements are really stupid, but because really, really difficult to set the right goals and set the right implementation. Like top management, for instance, if you try to be a top management, you should be really, really smart, right? But you see a lot of wrong movement of top management because they are not really, this is one of the smart person, but still they making the wrong movement. Simply because setting the right objective, right implementation, setting the right way of action is so difficult. So a lot of cases actually you are studying, like failure case or success case of using some example. You will be actually dealing with many case studies in strategic management. Right? A classic example, 1,000 examples, like the like United Airways, United Airline or United Airways. United, I flew that airline long time also. What's the exact name? United Airline. So United UA. I just know UA, but I just don't know United Airline, right? So purely the largest company, #1 airline companies in the world until the beginning of 90s, right? But that airline company really didn't satisfy their position. They were #1, but they wished to do more. So what they did, they made a strategic move, right? They tried to create like a kingdom of, say, travel world. So rather than just providing the like air travel, like airplane, carrier service like airplane, they try to be like master of travel, right? So airplane service is only part of the travel business. So what they did was we have to do rental car business. We have to do hotel business. We have to do travel agency business. So you have to have all different business, try to be the master of all travel industry. So that's the strategic move of UA 20 years ago. Right? What happened after that? The company fell into a huge financial crisis. Right? So what's the problem of this kind of a strategic action for the firm? I think the ideas of being really the god in travel business is not bad. This is a quite good idea. However, the way of implementing that goal was not really right. So the point is that they just try to be everywhere, try to do good everywhere, which is not sometimes beyond the ability of the firms. If the firms are good at airplane business, then the company should think about improving more for that part. But at that time, the top management has some other ideas. So that's why even also they purchased like Hilton Hotel at the time, spent a lot of money, but failed. So that kind of blunders actually happen a lot, hurting companies like bankrupt and so on. So that's why, especially for top managers, CEO, these subjects are pretty much interesting to study. Right? So back to strategic management, what he talked about here was that probably the top manager's job to determine the goal of the firm and show the direction to realize the goal. So again, it sounds like it is really the strategy, the setting goal, showing direction, really the job of the top management, director, senior vice president or CEO. So those are what I call a top management. However, it is not. It is partially right. It is job of the top management. However, that doesn't mean that all other managers at lower level should hands off from that goal setting and direction, deciding the directions. Basically, of course, the top managers draw a big picture of the firm in terms of goals, direction, but that is, they only draw a big picture where how the company would be in the future, for instance, like 5 years later, where we should be, how we should be. So what kind of business, for instance, we are going to do. So that is like kind of a long-term goal, direction, certainly designed by the top. So that is what they make. And that big picture delivered down to, say, mid-level managers. So mid-level manager should think about what the company should do for the next 2 or 3 or up to 5 years to prepare the companies in the future after 5 years. So they make long-term plan, and the mid-manager here determine what the company should be short-term to do that long-term vision of the firms. Right? So that message delivered down to a mid-level manager. And once they determine what the company should do, less than, say, 2 or 3 years, if they determine what to do, how to do things, that is delivered down to the real lower managers. In order to do that, say, short-term mission goals, what lower manager here at the bottom should do every day, right? So that's how that's mechanisms of goal setting and implementation setting of the firms, cascading from top to bottom like here. So in strategic management, you will be studying like what kind of top management should be thinking about in the future. Here, future most means after 5 years. Right? So like big decisions like mergers and acquisition, for instance, like let's buy other companies. Let's enter into African market. Let's set up new factory in China, for instance. So this kind of decision is not really designed for what to do in 2 or 3 years later. So this kind of decision is made by looking at far future. So that's kind of top managers goal setting, what you call a corporate level strategy, right? Corporate level strategies. And given that big picture, the mid-level manager, as I mentioned, should determine what to do short term, right? So in order to be, say, prosper, good company 5 years or 10 years later, what should we do today, next year, and the year after? So those strategy mostly, they design the strategy, mostly the mid-level managers to deal with that question is mostly like how to compete with the competitors. So a lot of companies' strategy, like say how to destroy, how to produce better, say, product. Like Samsung, for instance, how can we produce better mobile phone, air conditioner, or refrigerators over the LG product, for instance. So they may think of a lot of ideas, new design, new pricing. That is exactly what we call a mid-level here, business level strategies. So business level strategy is for the benefit of long future, the manager here should determine how the company compete with your direct competitors. Right? How can you really fight with your competitors? So, like say, like simply, like how to win, right? How to get rid of the competitors. So that's really the job of here mid-level managers. So in order to say destroy competitors, what your company should do? What's your plan? We produce by reducing our price, right? Probably that may be the very common strategy. Let's sell this one at much lower price. That can be like cost leadership, for instance. That can be the business level strategies. Simply lowering your price of the product is very difficult, right? Obviously, profit making is the job of the firms. Profit determined by the price. So even if you want to reduce the price, you just cannot reduce it. Because if you reduce the price, it may damage your profitability, right? So, so reducing your price, kind of a tough and hard decisions. If you say determine to reduce your price, in what way you are going to reduce? That's another question. Or say let's raise the price of our product, for instance. How much is the Note 7? What? 100? How many of you here using the Samsung new Note 7, right? Mobile phone. None of you? I think very expensive, right? So what makes you set that high price? A lot of strategies, also a calculation behind that pricing. Right? So that is actually determined by, probably that kind of pricing is based on the company's long-term strategy. We don't know what it is already. So, but that kind of pricing strategy can be business level strategies. So, so the point here, the strategy is not really one or two person's job. Not really the sometimes, most often the job of the top manager. All of the managers should be involved in that decision making together. So this is the process of strategic decision making. So you'll be learning step by step from here to there, right? So a lot of framework tools actually you'll be learning. Like accounting and finance. How many of you here already have taken the accounting course? All of you freshmen. So accounting simply means like a lot of say money transaction within companies. You have to purchase materials, right? You have to sell your products, so you receive some money. So a lot of money transactions, so that should be recorded, right? Why companies should record all money transaction? Why? If it is a private firm, you don't really, it's free, right? You just really don't need to carefully record any kinds of monetary transactions. But we are here talking about a public company, the big companies where you have a lot of owners, right? So, but we know that shareholders, the shareholders are actually owner of the firm, but they are not individually participating in the management of the firms. So, so the managers, somebody who runs the company, should let the owners know about how the company is now running by showing how money actually come in and come out correctly, clearly. So, whatever your sales, whatever the purchase your firm make, or whatever the payment your firm made, that should be correctly recorded based on standard rule and regulation, so that shareholders, society can see how you have been using the money, where you earn the money, where you spend the money, and so on. So by doing so, your firms are transparent. Right? You didn't use other shareholders' money for nothing, so you have to show that you use shareholders' money wisely. So how can you prove that? By doing good accounting process here. So accounting simply means doing that job, the recording of, say, capital transaction. So specific knowledge actually you have to learn here. Not really arbitrarily noting or the capital transaction. There should be some very strict, very difficult rule in, say, recording your capital transaction. So you will learn that procedures. Again, doing the accounting is very important because accounting provide this information. Right? So by looking at the accounting information, you can see how the firm performed in the past. Based on the progress of the firm's past, you can estimate how the company would be in the future. Right? And also you can see whether the company now financially good enough or not. So a lot of, again, you are step back. I mean, you are only shareholders. You are not really managing the company. But still you have to understand the condition of the firms. How can you know that? Accounting information tell you the condition of the firms, especially the financial condition. Is the company making quite good money without relying on other people's help or money and so on? So there are two types of accounting. You'll be learning that one in accounting course. And financial management also, it is actually, you will be learning here, like, again, how you design the capital structures. If you use your money for your business, that's fine. There will be no problem. But if you're running like really big companies, and sometimes you just cannot manage your business by your own money. You have to borrow or rely on other people's money, obviously. So the point again here is also sometimes using other people's money wisely, very important to the success of your business, right? So the point again, I mean, individually it is not true, right? Even if you don't have any income, you should not really use credit card a lot, right? You should not use other people's money unless you have a sound income. However, in the company case, the stories are a little bit different. Of course, the company should have a very steady, strong income status, right? The company should have their own money and source of money generation. But on the other hand, the company should seriously think about using other people's money, because many ways to use other people's money. Here, others means bank, right? Or you can borrow money from, say, institution. It could be a government or individuals. Or you can attract more owners by issuing new stocks. So many ways to attract other people's money. So financial management simply means how you are able to balancing in using money between your money and other people's money. What should be the right, say, balancing for that? So you'll be studying actually that one in financial management. And marketing as well. Pretty much marketing is, some people say that marketing actually help you to how to sell the product, service to customers, how to satisfy customers, make them happy. But in fact, marketing does not really tell you that kind of your detail, say, customers' happiness practice and so on. It is all about simply by taking this course is ultimately tell how to communicate with the customers, right? Not really sales practice, right? So communication and with the customers, delivering the value to the value means satisfaction. Simply say the value are very common terminology in business study. You see often a lot this word. So value means a lot, but in marketing, value means happiness of the customers, satisfaction of the customers, client partners. So in order to make them happy, what communication strategy you should take. So that's pretty much what marketing is. And sales practice is one of the kind of ideas within the umbrella of the marketing studies. How can you form a long-term relationship with your, say, loyalty customers, CLM? How can you, say, keep, keep your customers longer? How can you establish a new relationship with the customer? So a lot of that relationship issues actually handled in marketing these days. So it is all about communication. And finally, also human resource management tells you, like, again, very important this day. So it is nowadays all about like human capital. If your firm tries to be very successful, if you select really best talent person, employees, he or she will do everything for your firms. You don't really do much about for your firms. Very creative, talented employees actually do many things. So then how can you select that talented employees? Or how can you then train your employees into a very precious, very high talented human resource? So you will be learning that kind of things in human resource management. And also, how can you keep valuable employees within the organization? A lot of turnover this day. Just, the employees just keep changing their job all the time. You're 선배, right? Keep changing their job all the time. After 2 years of working, just move to other company, and which is good. But if too much turnover, it's not really good. So from the company's perspective, it is a huge cost. So how you keep your employees not leaving your firm. So there is also a very important study these days, so how to maintaining them. And even this day, companies care about developing individual employees' career. Right? So you don't need to really think about your future, your career development. The company will care about it. So your job is just do your job good. That's it. So that part, development of your employees. So in human resource management, you will be learning that part. So yeah, this part will be covering like every week by looking at that each subject. And so you will be also learning more in detail in your second, third, and fourth year. Okay. So see you Thursday. Yeah, I will give you this. I will send you the syllabus to your email. So please check.